they're the initials of the counties up here: Fermanagh, Antrim, Tyrone, FAT, Derry, Armagh, and Down, DAD, Fat Dad. That's how we're told to remember it as kids. So yeah, you'll see a sign just to our left here in a moment, crossing over the border in 3, 2, 1, boom, and there's someone. There we go, automatic, that happens.
Today is January 20th,
left behind the Republic of Ireland and the EU, and we're into Northern Ireland and the UK. And as you can see, everything up here is totally different. The trees are blue, the birds are flying backwards, madness altogether. Now, obviously very, very similar. Some things you will notice actually though, particularly with the road signs. So down in the Republic of Ireland, Irish and English are our joint national languages. So on the road signs you'll always see the name of the place and the directions, first in Irish and then in English. But up here, all in English, no Irish at all. And also then the speeds and distances. Down south we switched over to the metric system back in the 1980s, so kilometers and kilometers per hour. But up here using the imperial system still, so miles and miles per hour, maybe a bit more familiar for some of you guys. And that border, that's a soft border, and that's the way everyone in Ireland really wants it to stay. It doesn't matter if you're from the south, from the north, Catholic or Protestant backgrounds, everyone wants to keep it like that. That was one of the big kind of sticking points when that whole Brexit negotiation that went on and on and on and on was going on a few years back. But it wasn't always a soft border like that. I remember coming up here back in the early 80s with my family, my brother and sister, mom and dad. We'd come up a lot of the time, we'd do a bit of Christmas shopping or something up here. And back then it was a hard border until kind of the mid-90s, just before the Good Friday Agreement of 98. And when you got up close to the border, there'd be a long line of traffic, but there was checkpoints, there was security, there were customs, and that border was policed or controlled by the British Army up here, and that was a dangerous job for those guys, often targeted by the paramilitary groups or the terrorist groups up here, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. You know, generally on this tour I wouldn't talk too much about that period of conflict, the Troubles as we call it euphemistically, but because there's quite a few on board who had wanted to do the other tour, I'll delve into it maybe a little bit more. But yeah, when you got to that border, there'd be a long line of traffic, you'd be waiting, and every car, every truck, every bus, you had to show your ID, you had to open up the trunk or the boot of your car. There'd be customs making sure you weren't bringing anything over. More often than not, the tax up here in the north in the UK is lower on things like alcohol and cigarettes, so people would be smuggling stuff over and back. But it was a very different world up here as well back in the 1980s. For example, if you wanted to go shopping in downtown Belfast, so where we're going to be in around City Hall, we kind of like to say, let's say the Grafton Street or O'Connell Street areas in Dublin, you had to go through the Ring of Steel, and that was a steel barrier that basically went all around the central shopping district, and to get in or out of that, you go through the barrier, you went through these gates, again controlled by the British Army, and you were going through metal detectors. I remember going through there with my mom. She had to empty out her purse and her coins, keys, anything like that. And this is the early 80s, so there were airports around the world, domestic particularly, domestic airports you could walk in off the street. You'd be kind of patted down or frisked by security and you'd walk straight onto the plane. But if you wanted to go shopping in Belfast city centre, you would have to go through a metal detector, and that's because people were so worried about this conflict that was going on. And this was a conflict, like I said, we call it the Troubles with a capital T, from the late 1960s up until the signing of the Good Friday Agreement of 98, and I'll give you a bit of a background to that. And I think I mentioned Dublin to Belfast, only about 100 miles, 160 kilometres. But when I was growing up, I suppose by the time I was kind of getting into my teens and I was aware of what was going on, the things going on up here in Belfast, 100 miles away, they could have been going on planet Mars as far as I was concerned. I had, you know, it had nothing to do with my day-to-day life, but obviously much more difficult for the people living here. I wouldn't presume to speak for those folks. I've got a lot of friends from up here in the north, both Catholic and Protestant, and definitely they had a much tougher time living up here. And in a moment now, on our left, you're going to see on the side of the motorway, there's going to be 10 white crosses, and you'll see the year 1981 all written up in wood on the left. And these 10 crosses represent 10 Irish men who died on a hunger strike back in the year of 1981. So you'll see them there just to the left. You'll also see the Irish flag there. We're now in the United Kingdom, so of course they have their own flag, the Union Jack, but you will see lots of Irish flags in the north, and when you see that flag, you know you're in a predominantly Catholic part of the country. The flag originally was supposed to be inclusive of the two main religions on the island. The green in the flag is supposed to represent the Catholic community here in Ireland, the orange for the Protestant folks, and then the white in the middle was supposed to represent peace and unity between those two. However, that hasn't always been the way, particularly up here in the north. But yeah, when you see that flag, you know you're in a Catholic area, and the Catholic folks up here are often called Republican. Now, nothing to do with Republican and Democrat in the United States. If you're a Republican in Ireland, you want these 6 counties of the north to join back up with the 26 counties of the Republic and have one united Ireland. And you'll see, yeah, there's some Union Jacks just here now out to the left as well. You'll see the red, white and blue with the kind of crosses there. And you can see how quickly we went from a Catholic area to a Protestant area.
It's January 20th, 2026. I'm in Northern Ireland, part of United Kingdom. This is our first official stop of the tour. It's called the Dunluce Castle. Look at the view. This was one of the scenes in the Lord of the Rings. I'm not a fan of that movie, but in any event, that's a piece of knowledge point. Wow. Look at the... Oh, look at that. The temperature is significantly on the cooler side today because we're very north of the island. They look real old. This is the backdrop. Ooh, it's travel in deep winter January of Northern Ireland. How brave me! It's me! Oh wait.
Hey guys, I'll get you guys as well after. Alright, ready guys?
Oh.
Because all the rock here is basalt rock that we're driving on top of, with its molecular structure, when the rock started to cool down after the volcano, it formed into these very unusual hexagonal 6-sided columns, and that's what you're going to see down there at the Causeway. But then you got the story with the giants, and you're back to our two friends, Finn McCool, the giant of Ulster, and his rival Ben and Donner in Scotland. And these guys are still shouting and screaming at each other. One day, Finn decides, you know what, feck this, I'm going to get over there to Scotland, I'll build a causeway like a bridge, go over, find this guy, Ben, and we'll have a fight, whoever wins, that will be the most powerful giant in these islands. So he builds the causeway, goes across, he's kind of asking around in Scotland, trying to find directions. Finally, he finds Ben's farmhouse, and He's watching from a distance after a little while. Out comes Ben, and first thing that Finn notices is he's huge. Ben must be twice Finn's size, so he's getting a little worried at this point. And then Ben starts doing some work around the farmyard. He's uprooting big giant oak trees as if they're tiny little matchsticks. He's moving his cows from field to field as if they're grains of rice. And now poor Finn is really getting worried. He thinks, you know what, I don't need any trouble in my life. He comes running back over the causeway and into his wife here. They have a house in Bushmills, and this is Bushmills. We're going to cross the River Bush, and about a mile up to the right you'll see buildings up there. We'll be up at the distillery later on, but it was the mill on this River Bush that powered Bushmills distillery. So anyway, Finn comes running into his wife. Her name is Una, and she's definitely the brains of the operation. So he comes thundering in, and he's like, "Oh, Una, I'm after messing up." And she's like, "All right, what have you done this time, Finn?" You know, she's used to this carry-on. So he says, "Well, you know, I went over to Scotland." She said, "Yeah, you were going to challenge that Scottish giant to a fight. How did it go?" "Well, not great, my darling. We got over there, and I got there, I saw the size of Ben. I decided, you know, this guy's too big, he's too strong, I don't need to fight him at all. So anyway, I came back to you, my love, and what's for lunch?" And Una's looking at him going, "That's it? That's all the details you give me? This sounds a little bit strange, this story. Let me ask you a few questions." So Una says to Finn, "Okay, when you were over in Scotland, did Ben know you were there looking for him?" And Finn thinks to himself, "Yeah, I suppose I was asking for directions before I found him. I think he knows I was there." And Una says, "Okay, and on your way back to Ireland, did you destroy the causeway so that he can't follow you?" Now poor Finn is freaking out. Absolute panic attack. So first things first, Una has to calm him down. So she gives him a little drop of Bushmills, calms his nerves a bit. And again, she's the brains of the operation. She's come up with the plan. She says, "This is what we're going to do, Finn. I want you to go into the bathroom and shave all the hair off your head, all the beard off your face. Come back out in 10 minutes just wearing your underwear." Now Finn doesn't know what's going on, but he knows better than to argue with the missus. So in he goes, shaves his head, shaves his face, comes back out 10 minutes later in his undies. And while he was doing that, Una has done a bit of sewing. So she took a pillowcase, sewed it up so it looks like a little baby's bonnet, those hats you'd have on a baby's head when they're asleep, to keep them warm. So she puts the bonnet on his head, wraps a bed sheet around his waist, so it looks like a big giant diaper or a nappy. So there he is, big mad Finn McCool, looking like a baby. She says, "Into the bed, I'll deal with Ben when he gets here, but don't make a sound." So anyway, Finn gets into the bed. Sure enough, about 20 minutes later, there's a bang on the door. Come out, fight me like a man." Una opens up the door, and she says, "Oh, you must be Ben." "That's right, ma'am, you're here to fight my husband." "That's correct." "Well, look, he's gone for a quick jog around the island. He'll be back in about 20 minutes. Come in, sit down, have a cup of tea, but keep your voice down. Our 9-month-old baby is over there in the bed asleep. Very hard to get him back down once he wakes up." So in goes Ben. He's sitting there at the table, and he hears a bit of rustling, a bit of movement from the bed. He walks over, he looks in. Now we know it's adult Finn dressed like a baby, but poor Ben, he looks at this 9-month-old and he thinks, "Holy moly, if that's the size of the kid, how big is daddy? I am out of here." His turn to panic. Now he turns around, crashes through the door, doesn't even open it up, and he goes running across to Scotland, destroying the causeway so daddy Finn McCool can't follow him. And that's how we were told the Giant's Causeway was formed. So you guys can decide yourselves now, after your visit, which story you prefer, the story of the science or the giants. So we're coming up here, and you'll see a couple of buildings up there on the top of the hill. On the left, that's the Causeway Hotel. Again, that won't be open this month at all. And then over in the middle, that's the visitor centre. Now you can go in there, but they charge, I think it's 15 sterling to go in there, and they have a little cafe, they have a set of bathrooms, and there's like a scale model of the area. But for most people, you just go straight down to the site itself, and then on the right, that little grey house, and it looks like actually the fire is already on there, so they might be open. That would be unusual, but that's the nook, that's the place I was saying. Get your grub in there, go in, get your table, and then go up and order at the bar. And we're going to pull in just in front of the nook, and we're going to leave here, guys, at 1:15, 1:15, so not 150, 1:15.
So today is January 20th, 2026. I'm in Northern Ireland, which is a part of United Kingdom. I am on a bus tour. We made our second stop. The first stop was Dunluce Castle. The second stop is here, which is the Great or Giant Causeway, which is a 10-minute ride, a bus ride from Dunluce Castle. This is the surrounding view. I'm going to do a trail. There is a red trail and a blue trail. Supposedly the red trail is more of a top view and a bit more difficult. We'll see. Follow me. In continuation of the last clip, I decided to take the lower trail, which is the blue trail. This is a part of the trail. The guide told us that it's going to be about 20 minutes down and 20 minutes up. Wow. This is the stairs people climb to go up to the red trail. In fact, I want to follow them so I don't feel lonely by myself. I will follow them. Yeah, it's the Giant's Causeway. Yes, I'm on the red trail, which is the upper platform trail. Look at the water, the rocks. Today is windy, cold. This is me. It's about like maybe 35 Fahrenheit, but the wind, you can hear it, is what makes it colder. Feels like the wind is whipping. Oh, look at this. Look at the water. The grass is surprisingly green for a deep January day. They're green. Okay, I'm going to stop now and focus on my trail walking. I want to be safe. Bye-bye. I just did about 30 minutes on red trail. Now we're descending via the stairs, stone stairs. Look at my white Crocker. I'm descending. Follow me next to the cliff. Wow. That's the view. That's the view. That's me. The most important thing is I do not fall. Oh, look at that. Look at me. Oh, people are walking on the lower platform. Okay, this is it. I'm still on the tour, the bus tour. After the giant causeway, it started to rain, and actually it's raining pretty hard. The wind is also compounding the cold and the wet effect of the weather. We made another stop. It's called the Old Bushmills Distillery Co-Limited, licensed to distill in 1608. This is the, I have my umbrella in my way, but this is the, I think it's the sales office. I was just in there, and the surrounding, the buildings look really nice. I mean, it's almost like a touristy spa. Beautiful exterior. Beautiful. Barrels. Yeah, beautiful place. And there is a sales officer selling and offering samples. And I don't drink, so unfortunately I found this just to be a scenery stop. So continue with the bus tour today. We made our last stop at the city of Belfast. Right now is about 4 o'clock local time. I just had some sandwich nearby. Hungry, wet and cold today. This is right in front of me. The green dome structure is their city center hall. The bus dropped us off up there, and the bus will come and pick us up at about 5 o'clock. I wondered, this appears to be like the main street. A good looking city center street. Nice looking, well lit. It's only 4 o'clock, but it's pretty dark already. Pardon my umbrella. Zara. Some other brands I don't recognize. Here is a KFC. Just a shopping street. I'm juggling right now with one hand holding umbrella, my right hand holding my GoPro. It's wet. Luckily, our driver was able to make a strategic decision to visit the giant causeway the first thing in the morning. Alrighty, I think it's really hard. I'm just gonna leave it here as a little coverage for the city of Belfast. Northern Ireland of United Kingdom. Bye bye. Okay, so continue with my walking in Belfast, Northern Ireland of United Kingdom. This is really the center of the center. It's beautiful, clean. It's a little dark, but this city center hall is well lit. Here is a bank, and this structure, the corner spot, is called the Black Sheep Coffee. Cute, cute, cute. Double-deck buses. I see them everywhere in Ireland. Of course, right now we're in United Kingdom. But yeah, and it's me.